Hello, so we are at Bempton Cliffs and we're here to try to photograph gannets and other seabirds.
Yeah, as you can see, we've probably not chosen the best morning this morning because it's really thick mist. And whilst there's loads of gannets around, and we've just seen our first puffins as well, in terms of photography, we were rather hoping that when the sun came up it would burn off some of this mist, but it's just not. It's really thick. So this morning we might not have much success with the photography unless the mist clears a little bit. But we're here for a couple of days, so we're going to spend this morning down here, and we'll be coming back tomorrow morning as well, hopefully. So hopefully at some point over the weekend we'll have a chance to get some usable images. So we've actually just found a little vantage point here where we're obviously having to be very careful because we're right at the top of a cliff, but there's some gannets really quite close here, and I think given the conditions that's probably going to be our best bet in terms of photographs, is if we can find gannets which are relatively close that we can just sort of zoom in on and get some images. There's also a puffin sat just below these two gannets, so it's really quite nice just watching these birds. Although conditions aren't great for photography, we're still out here, we're still enjoying ourselves, and it's just great to see these birds up close. I just pushed him off a cliff. So we found this little spot here, and what I really like about this particular spot is we've got these pink flowers, who I'm afraid I don't know what they're called. But I'm using those to try and sort of frame the birds. So I'm kind of photographing through the flowers, and they're kind of creating this kind of pink vignette around the birds. I'm experimenting with moving the focus point as well, as I'm having a focus point over on the right hand side. So I've got the bird on the right hand side, but then these out of focus pink flowers framing the bird. And I think that's working pretty well for these shots.
So we were hoping the mist was going to lift. Unfortunately it did not. It lifted a little bit at first, and that gave us a bit of a false glimmer of hope, thinking that we were going to have a lovely sunny day, but no. I think we still got some nice photos though.
Yeah.
I think the ones you were talking about earlier with the pink foreground, the pink flowers.
Yeah, I actually think some of those might have come out okay. So I think even despite the fact that we didn't have the best conditions, I think we've got a couple of images which are certainly okay. And fingers crossed, we'll be coming back here tomorrow morning. So fingers crossed,
yes,
we'll get a little bit of better light tomorrow morning.
Indeed.
So it's the second morning, and we've come back, and it's much clearer this morning, although the sun is actually up now. So
apparently the sun
is rising up there somewhere.
Yeah, no sign of it.
Yeah, so it is quite cloudy this morning, so unfortunately we don't have much light at the moment. It might clear up a little bit later. We'll keep our fingers crossed it will get some kind of light, but it's at least much clearer than it was yesterday. So similar plan to yesterday, we're just going to take a wander along the cliffs and see if we can get some nice photos this morning. So we're back at the same spot we were at yesterday where we saw the puffin, and there's actually 2 puffins just sat down on the cliff right now. So I managed to get a couple of nice images, and Hannah's just taking some film as well. I think she's managed to get some nice pictures of it as well. I'm used to seeing puffins in the north of Scotland, but actually this is the first time I've seen puffins outside of Scotland. And whilst Bempton isn't necessarily the best place to photograph puffins, it's just nice to see them. It's been quite a few years since I last saw a puffin. So yeah, it's really nice to come out here and see them again. So I think this is probably my favourite spot so far. We've got a nice little ledge here, which actually at the moment doesn't have any birds on it, but every now and again a couple of birds will come down and land. There was, when we first arrived here, a little pair that were just a little bit lower, sat down there, and I managed to get a couple of shots of them beaking. There's a one of the shots which I'm really after this morning is to get a shot of the 2 birds courting each other with their beaks. And I've come close on a couple of occasions, and I'm just going to sit here for a little while. Hannah and I have actually decided to divide and conquer. So she's actually gone back further down, back towards the nature reserve. But I'm just going to sit it out here, because whilst there aren't any birds here at the moment, I'm hoping that some birds will come in and land. I've had one pair come in already, and they looked as though they were about to beak. And then they ended up just having a bit of a snap at each other. So I'm hoping that a pair will come along that like each other, and we'll get a nice shot of them. So I just had a really amazing experience with a couple of gannets. Actually managed to get some quite nice images. I was just sort of walking along the edge of a cliff here, and I noticed that there was a pair that were doing that courtship behaviour with the rising of the heads and touching beaks. So I just sort of crept up a little bit and managed to use some of these pinks as cover. I couldn't take this camera with me because I didn't want to create any noise or disturbance, so I just had to take the opportunity and just see if I could get any images, and I think I managed to get actually quite a few nice images from that, so I'm kind of buzzing slightly, so absolutely amazing. So I think that's us done for the weekend here at Bempton. I think we've come away with some okay shots, haven't we?
Yes,
Yeah.
and today the thing that I enjoyed photographing most was, videography rather than photography, and that was capturing the puffins, and I think it worked really well to video them rather than photograph them, because you see their little movements, and the cuteness factor comes across even better, I reckon, in a video compared to a photo.
They're definitely cute, aren't they, puffins? Yeah.
Amazing.
And I'm really pleased with some of the images I took, especially those last few which I got with. I finally got some nice images of the birds beaking each other. I don't know if the beaking's actually the technical term for that.
Probably is.
Probably not, but anyway. So yeah, it's been a lot of fun. I think it would have been nice to have had a little bit more light, maybe, at some point.
Yes.
It's a bit of a shame it didn't really follow the forecast, but even so, I think it's been a great weekend. So anyway, thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you next time.